Earthlings, I'm Trice, and in this video I'm going to share with you 5 magical signs that money is flowing your way. As you're going to see in this video, that a lot of money that comes your way comes in contrary to what we think. We think, oh my gosh, we're going to get so much more rich and successful when we're happy and everything's working out for us. But most of the time, the opposite is true. The first sign that money is coming your way is there is upheaval and chaos. My close friend just got fired from his job. He had a difference of opinion from the boss and he just let him go. And he has a small daughter and a beautiful wife, and he is the sole provider for the family and a teeny emergency fund. So you can imagine how stressful this was. So he sat down on his couch and watched Netflix for a week. But then he started calling around to other companies. And he didn't tell people that he was fired or let go. He simply started negotiating like a boss, saying, hey, I am looking into switching companies and I'm wondering what kind of incentive packages you can offer me. Now don't think he has some highfalutin job. He is simply a real estate broker here in New York City. Fast forward 1 week and he had hooked himself a job with a $10,000 signing bonus. So if you have lost your job, if there's some upheaval, if there's something going awry, sit down, relax, let that negative energy wash away from you by cheering yourself up with some Netflix or the sort, and then follow inspired action and the money will roll in. Now this one might make you kind of jealous, but it's a sign that money's coming your way. The second sign that more money is coming your way is that everybody else around you seems to be getting richer, or money seems to be falling from the sky. And it's bubbling a little of jealousy in you. But fear not. You can wash those feelings away because it is a sign that money is coming for you. For example, my husband has a spa that has been closed for several months and is bleeding money. But the government issued out this thing called a PPP loan. For people that qualified, they would get grant money, meaning they didn't have to pay it back, to subsidize their costs. Now at first we heard of nobody getting it, but then we heard of this friend getting it, and that friend getting it, and that friend getting it. And his bank said he had workers that did not work in the country, and so he was no longer qualified. So on the surface, it looked very disheartening. But I said, baby, you know what a believer I am in the law of attraction. Why don't you just apply it here? Because you have absolutely nothing to lose. And the first rule of law of attraction is to ask or put it out there. So he was just sharing his story with his friend, and his friend said, my company got the grant from this bank down in Georgia. Why don't you give it a try? And presto, $44,000 rolled in. So the trick here is not to fall into the pit of despair, not to wallow in jealousy. Fear not, it is a sign that your money is coming. If you hold the faith, hold the vibration, and still put out the request to the universe. You never know whose ears will answer the call. Now, how do you feel about failure? Because the bigger the failure, the more money that's coming your way. The third magical sign that more money is rolling your way is that you have spotted an epic failure. The thing about failure is there's a loss, either a loss of time or a loss of money. And when you see it, if you stop the loss and create the win, you're not a little bit ahead, you're twice amount ahead. For example, when I met my husband, his business was struggling and he was doing these flash sales on everything. I said, let's look through the numbers and see what our profit margins are to see where we're at and how we can raise them. When we did it, we noticed he was selling Botox at a loss. He was actually paying people to do Botox. He was doing this because of his desperation and because of his fear to bring money in. But seeing his actions in black and white, how not only was it not working, that it was actually causing him harm, gave him the confidence to to raise his prices and go from a negative profit margin to a positive profit margin for the same type of work. All failures, once you see them, have amazing heaps, gobs of money hidden in them. So if you spotted a failure in your life, and you found a way to correct it or turn it into a win, well, say hello, because money's going to flow in. And if you haven't, look for what's not working. It's literally that simple. If you're struggling, if things are not working, if your credit card bill is coming due and you can't pay it and it's running at a clip in the wrong direction, find the failure. Now, this one is a fun one. Even children can do it. And it made me $1,000 more a month for years by doing no more work. The fourth sign that more money is coming your way is that you do the big ask on everything. What that means is asking always for more than you want. One time I was reading Cosmo, and this was around the time that I was manifesting my husband, and I was reading in Cosmo that the girl's family is supposed to pay for the wedding, and I was like, holy heck, my parents don't have money to pay for a wedding. So I'm going to have to come up with some money. Well, how can I do that? So I just went over to my boss and I said, I need $1,000 more a month because I want to get married and the woman has to pay for the wedding. And guess what? He gave it to me. I didn't know it at the time, but I was invoking the rule of a generous spirit. He wanted to be generous. He wanted to see my dreams come true. He could afford it, and he said yes. And I didn't realize that I was doing until I saw the opposite happen. I had this beautiful roommate, Lynn, and she, oh my gosh, she was the hardest worker I have ever met. She was diligent, she showed up early, she stayed up late, and never asked for more money. One day she got brave, and she made a whole list of all the value that she added to the company. This sounds like a good idea, right? And she went into her boss's office and said, I think I should get a raise for all these reasons of the value that I'm adding to your company. You know what happened? Not immediately, but she ended up getting fired. And it took me a second to reflect on the why. This power relationship that she had created with her boss over a decade or so had made him only be able to see her in one light. Subservient. You do what I want you to do. Now, to me, that was not a failure. She was allowed and freed from that prison to go and add value and ask big anywhere she wanted or desired. If you're asking big on anything and everything, more money will flow into your life. And this last one is how I started making $8,000 a month for only 2 days of work a week. Fifth sign that more money is coming your way is that you are present to the moment and you listen. You hear things and you're like, okay, how is this going to make me money? Present in your life, you will see opportunities that you did not see before. For example, my bar was dwindling. And I knew that I had to change ships, and I had started to perk my ears up. Now, did I go search for any classifieds? No. But I was hanging out with this other actor friend of mine, and he saw another friend of his on the street, and they started having a conversation how she just got hired at this fancy bar as the hostess. And I said, are they hiring? And she said, I don't know. But I went over there and I asked. And they said, well, we're not really hiring bartenders, but we have this one dinky shift on Mondays that you can have if you want it. That one dinky shift evolved into 2 premium shifts where I started making about $1,000 a night. And that only happened because I had been putting my attention and my energy out into the universe to attract more money. And it came via this bartending thing. They didn't advertise. There was no sign in the newspaper, but it was there because I heard it. So how to focus in on this? Like, I had focused in that I wanted a new bartending job. I wanted a premium bartending job. So ask yourself what you want. Maybe you want somebody else to pay your rent. That can happen. That totally can happen. If you add this focusing question and then listen for how it will show up. Now, if you're thinking, oh yeah, that only happens if you're like pimping yourself out or something crazy. Not true. I have this client who makes $3,000 a month by letting her grandfather live with them. He gives them their pension check and they give him a warm place to sleep and feed him all his meals. And of course, they love their grandfather, so they're happy to have them. Other members could have invited them to live with them. But since they had their ears up about how can we get somebody else to pay our rent, they heard that opportunity. And until next time, my darling earthlings, I kiss you. Ciao.